Hi everyone, my name is Gilbert Mwale and I'm back here today just picking up over where I left last time. And really, what I wanted to just talk about today is the typical thought line in agriculture and several other areas of business. In life, we say it's okay to start small. And I agree with that. It's very fine to start small. Now, the only thing with that is that, when you start small and you think small and you stay small and you never get to think through, the plan on how you're going to become big, for me, is where the issue is. So I wanted to, just literally just talk about the idea of starting small in farming, and I believe in that as well. But I think it can actually cost you a lot more money than you think if you don't plan it out so well. I want to give an example of, just this last farming season. Someone reached out to me, a very close person, and said, "Hey, I would like to start farming, and I have a small piece of land, and I want to put up some maize because we're having rains right now, and I'd like to take advantage of that." And the typical thought usually concerning maize in Zambia is that you are thinking of making sure that you can harvest something that will be able to assist you to avoid buying mirimi. Look at the fact that in the previous year mirimi was a little bit more expensive and scarce at the same time because of the drought where we came from. Now we don't have drought this year, so I'm pretty sure that the situation is going to be different. But I'm not here to talk about trends for maize, but I'm really here to talk about the group that has been that sits down and says, "Hey, I'm going to get into agriculture and I'm just going to get a bare piece of land, not to do much on it, just clear it up, plant maize, and then expect to see results." I've seen many people cry over that, including my family and several many other people. And I want to just show you an example of where I feel like this is not a very sustainable way of doing business. I mean, you have to plan. Remember, I spoke about planning last time. So create a strategic plan that is real and build the organization from there. And I'll talk in depth over that. So I just want to do some little bit of math for us here, and this math could be a little bit off, but don't chop me or cut me off literally just because of that. I want you to just go and do extra math, because this is something I feel we rarely do in agriculture, is that we just look at somebody producing maize and saying, "Hey, I produce X amount of bags, I produce X number of animals, and I'm happy." And you think that they are happy. Take time and do the numbers, my friend. You are a farm CEO, and a farm CEO has to calculate what they're doing. So here's a little bit of math, and study it, plan around it, do your own mathematics, and this is going to vary. So I'm not a financial advisor, but this is something that I was just looking at, and I was saying, this is what I mean when I say that when you just jump into agriculture without the business component of it, even if you may have an idea of what you need to do, most especially for us Zambians, we believe we've been seeing maize being grown, and therefore by default somehow you have an idea of what to do. So take a look at these numbers. So first of all, you have a situation where if you were to plant on a hectare and you got 10 kg of maize, from on average, the seed pack will be going for about 900 kwacha. You need about maybe 3 to 6 bags of fertilizer, each one of them going for 800. That's a total of 4,800 kwacha. Labor, if you get your caretaker, somebody who lives around there to take care of your farm and also plant the maize, you are literally paying them about 800 kwacha for the next 6 months, between the time of planting all the way to the time when you'll be harvesting. So that's almost about 3,600 kwacha. And then you are looking at the herbicides. That is if you don't just ask the guy to do the weeding by himself with your hoy, but in the event that you actually buy herbicides and pesticides and things like that, you may be coming down to maybe like a 500 kwacha or even slightly more. I'm going to go for the lower end. And if you hired a tractor, probably another 1,500, depending on where you are and what relationship you have with the tractor owner. If he's not your friend, you're paying more. If he is, then you're just paying for fuel, and good for you. Now, if you look at the total, add the transport fee, the transport money that you spent, going with a family to go and have fun at the farm. To go and have fun at the farm. You even bought Hungry Lion, so that's a food. The total there will be just for everything without the transport and the Hungry Lion that you bought. It's definitely going to be like 9,800. But if you add the rest of the petty things that you bought on the way, you find that it comes down to like 10,000, 11,000 kwacha, somewhere there. Now, when we now come to the expected yield, most of the seed suppliers do advise that, if you do good management and you do your work rightly, the weather stays okay, you should be getting roughly between 50 to 100 bags or 50 kgs from your hectare. Though a number of times, a majority of times, most of you, because you don't know what you're doing, you believe you do, because you've grown up in a house that goes to the farm and all those things, so you believe you do, and but you don't have the expertise, and so does your team. You're using a caretaker, so most times you don't even get close to that. So a lot of times people are getting out something like 36 bags. And now there's a combination of different issues. Sometimes it's the pests that infest your field, or it could be the theft of your caretaker or people in the area where you are, because your farm is not fenced. So they take advantage that you have not been coming, because since the day you planted, you disappeared, hoping that the caretaker will take care of everything. So they took advantage of your farm and they harvested on your behalf. So what you see is that you end up coming out, if you did really well, I see people coming out with like 36 bags. Now remember, I said 50 to 100 bags is what you need to come out with. Now you end up coming out with 36 bags. And that's a lot for a lot of starters, people who are starting up. Because a lot, I see them coming out with 18 bags. And they're very happy about it. Like, wow, at least we got something. No, you shouldn't be happy about that. You should be concerned, because that's a huge loss. Now let's see how it comes to that. So if you do have a good year, and people that usually buy like FRA and all these other guys, get to offer you a 320 per bag, like we saw in the previous years, you'll find that then you multiply that by the 36 bags that you got, and then you are now getting something like 11,520 kwacha. Now remember, we are almost about around that area in your costs or expenses. So if you now do the subtraction between 11,520 minus 10,500, I'm being generous because you've been going to this farm, buying anger on the way, spending fuel and all those things. So you really are supposed to be remaining with nothing, but I gave you a 500 kwacha. So you have made 500 kwacha about there, approximately, plus or minus, in 6 months. And you are happy about it because you have got sacks of maize in your house, which you are going to spend extra money to go to the hammer mill to go and turn it into milling meal. And you're gonna spend a bit of fuel again and time as well to have that. Now, I didn't want to make this whole a conversation about milling meal and maize and all. No, I just wanted to give an example of what happens when somebody does not take time to actually do the numbers in agriculture. Is that it's possible if you do the numbers, you may find that I'm a bit wrong, or you are the one who's wrong. But the critical issue I'm saying is take time, do the numbers. So what would I suggest then that you do if you were, or what did I tell my good friend who asked me for advice just before the rains began? I said, look, if I were you, I wouldn't actually be rushing into planting anything. I would actually, begin to plan out my farm. So first of all, the land where you are, look at the money that you have. If you can actually start by fencing it out, what you're creating there is security for your farm, number one. And then if you still remain with a little bit of money, could you kindly begin to put up the following infrastructure? First of all, put up, a little building that should be used by your farm workers. And then number two, you also want to have, a borehole where water can be gotten from for the purpose of watering your fields or feeding your animals, and as well as also the people, the team that is actually going to be, staying on the farm should be able to have access to water for their usage, in the bathroom, and as well as also for cooking and drinking. Now, when you're building a little home for your team members, I like advising, because of the kind of team members that you want to have on your farm. You want to have two types of people. You want to be able to have what we call a hybrid, as well as also a casual or handy worker. So therefore, I advise that you do a little building, and I'll show us in another video how that little building looks like, and I'll talk a little bit more another time, on what kind of workers I mean by hybrid, casual, or handy workers and things like that, because you really need to think through that. So plan this business, because it is a business that you need to think about in the long run how things should work. So a few thoughts to look at is that as you plan, make sure that you identify a product that people need and people want to buy. So instead of just rushing for maize, which is good, I know it's our staple food here in Zambia, and people definitely need it all the time. But the issue that is there mostly with maize is that if you're not producing it at high quantities with mechanization, is that a lot of times you will not make much money out of it. And even the value for money of what you're spending there and the time that you're spending there, a lot of times, whether you look at it from different angles of mini meal, food on your table, you are really wasting time. And I want you to pay attention at the business of agriculture. You would rather going to go and buy that sack of mini meal, rather than you spending all your time together with your money, literally throwing it down the drain. So let's concentrate. Let's go ahead and produce maize and all the other things. Soybeans is amazing as well. Keep animals and all these things, but do the numbers first. Which one of these is needed out there? Number one, which one can be a cash cow for you? And then thirdly, as you decide, once you try it out as a small pilot, by first of all setting up your farm in a manner that I indicated as a few steps. And then once you have determined that people really need this product that I've started growing or keeping, then scale up, increase the production, increase the capacity of your farm, increase your team, increase all those things so that you can maximize the results. So, farm CEOs, do make sure that you look at the business of your farm. Apart from the technical side, learn the business side of your farm. And we can feed not only Zambia, but also the continent. Thank you.